So the gathering foot's a pretty cool foot. It'll do ruffles. And I'm going to show you exactly how to use this. Because there's a trick to it. You can actually gather a ruffle and sew it to a piece of fabric at the same time with this foot. So we're going to look at a couple of different ways to use this. And the foot number is right here, ESG-DS, right there. Okay, that is the gathering foot. And if you see, you can kind of see through it, right, that groove right there. I'll show you how to use that. This is how you would put one piece of fabric all the way under and one into that groove right there, just like with the ruffling foot, to attach two pieces of fabric together while you're gathering one layer of that fabric. First, I have to take off this whole assembly right here. Okay, that is not a snap-on foot. So, my trusty screwdriver, I'm going to use this one this time. I'm going to loosen this up. Okay. There we go. And this whole piece will just come off. Okay. Now I could have taken that off of the shank. So our machines, we have a high shank machine. That's actually called the ankle, what I'm holding right now. That's the ankle to the Altair / Meridian. Okay. Whenever I say Altair, I'm also referring to the Meridian at the same time. Okay, that was my J foot. Set that to the side. Now, in order for this foot, you can see how low that is. Let me lower my presser foot. So there's the shank. That big bar right there is called the shank. That's as low as it'll go. And as you can see, it won't even fit. It won't even touch the shank. The foot won't. So when we have a foot like that, what we have to do is use our shank adapter, which is this right here. This comes with your machine. And you can see here, this part here, that's where we screw the foot onto. The other end that slides right up onto the shank. It has a needle screw in one side. It also comes with a screw. This screw and that came with your machine, and I usually keep it stored in my treasure box. This dude right here. Okay. So we're going to install this first. It can only go on the foot one way. Okay, you can see how it's like a half circle. So it's going to go on with the flat part facing the screw right here. I have to take this screw all the way off. Okay. And then, oops, don't you roll off in that floor again. So I'm going to slide this up. I'm going to raise the foot all the way up. There we go. And once you get it started, you'll be able to feel it right there. You just get that screw started. You just want to hand tighten it. Okay. I'm going to give it one final tug with the little screwdriver here. The screwdriver came with your machine. Come on there. There we go. Okay, that's snug. And then our gathering foot, you can see how it has that indentation right there. We're just going to slide that up onto the shank extension adapter right there. And we're going to put this other screw in it. Trust me, it's worth it. This is such a cool foot. Okay, so you can actually get your screw started before we do this. There we go. I'm going to screw that in a little bit more before I get that foot up there. Okay. Then we're just going to slide it right up. And we're going to tighten it on there. Okay. There. Yeehaw, she is ready to rock and roll. Okay. I'm just going to do a test. That is perfect. Okay. So what we're going to do first, we're going to ruffle some fabric, gather some fabric. Okay. There we go. So on the instruction sheet, it says stitch length, longest setting, and you want to adjust the upper tension to 6, between 6 and 9. Because what those two numbers will do, the stitch length and the tension, will determine how much gathering it actually does. So we're going to start at 6 on the tension. And here's how you can adjust your tension on this machine. Right here is tension. We're going to go up to 6. That's the minimum it says. And I'm going to put my stitch length up to 4. It'll only go up to 5, so let's start at 3 and see what that does. Okay, length 3, tension 6. Although it does say go all the way up to 5, let's just see what a 3mm stitch length does. Okay. So, and I'm just going to line up the edge of my fabric with the edge of the foot itself, which is a little bit hair over 1/4 inch. I'm going to lower it. And what I did for my test fabrics, I got a couple of fat quarters and I cut them up into 3 and 4 inch strips of fabric for us to play with tonight. So here we go. And I actually think I am going to put it all the way over in the leftmost position, all the way over this way. Okay. And we're just going to give it a go and see what happens. It's not really gathering. It is a little bit. And the paperwork on that foot, it also says to test it in maybe about 10-inch pieces. So as we can see here, it gathered it a little bit, but not much. So I'm going to shoot that. I'm going to shoot the stitch length all the way up to 5. And we're going to put our tension up to 6, our upper thread tension. Let's give that a shot. Well, that's actually doing better. Ooh, it will take off and run away from you if you want it, if you let it. That's pretty cool. Check that out. I can see someone making some ruffled curtains with this. So next, it said you go all the way up to a 9 on your upper thread tension. I'm going to finish this one out at the 6 though, and this stitch length is 5. And that has been in the leftmost needle position. I'm going to put it in the center position and see if that changes anything. Hey, it sure did. Look at that. It's hardly doing that at all now. So, well, that's good to know. Okay, so I'm just going to cut it. We're going to take a look at this. Look at that. Now this is not a is not the ruffling foot. This is just called the gathering foot. So if I didn't want that to gather as much, I would just lower that stitch length down maybe to 4 millimeters. And we're going to try that here in a moment. But let's do another piece of strip of fabric. And that was pretty cool, eh? And I want to get my 3-inch strip this time. And we're going to go back to the left needle position. So what I'm in the quilting menu, and there's what I have it set on is Q03. I could also just go into the utility stitch menu. Right here. And that's the middle position, 3 on utility stitches. You can see menu 1. But the leftmost would be 101 when it says straight stitch left. I'm going to leave it in that position this time. And I'm going to put my tension all the way up to 9 and my length all the way up to 5. Then I'm going to start dropping my stitch length and we'll see what the difference makes, if any. Okay. So this is leftmost needle position. And stitch length of 5, tension 9. Wow, that really, that tension setting made a huge, oh my goodness, did it make a huge difference. Wow. So that was like a 22-inch piece of fabric. Check this out. That's how much it gathered it. I mean, I don't know if you can see that just right. But that only measures, let me measure this. It went from 22 inches down to 6 inches. So this strip was 22 inches long, and now from end to end it measures 6. That's how much you can gather it. So we're going to do another strip, and we're going to drop our stitch length this time. Are we? No, we're going to drop our tension down to 7. Okay. That's the only thing we're actually going to put it at 8. Yeah. We're going to drop it down 1 full number. So here it is, stitch length 5, tension 8. Then we'll see how much that gathered it. We'll measure it again. It is still really tight, which can be a good thing. Wow. I mean, it's still super tight, just like before. I can't tell a difference. Yeah, it didn't change. It really did not change that as far as the amount of gathering that it did. It went from 22 inches to 6 inches again. This is a totally awesome foot. Oh my, and you know what you could do? You could do smocking with this. So I'm going to take this one we just did. I'm not going to change any settings. I just have to do this. So I am now going to go down the other side of it, okay? So check out what I'm going to do here. Here's where I just gathered it. Now I'm going to just run it along the opposite edge of that strip of fabric. This is going to be so cool. I'm just going to slow up my speed so I can try to feed it as evenly. Oh, you know what? I probably should have put it in the rightmost position, but it's still doing it, so we're not going to worry about it. Wow. That was a good experiment. We'll do our other one we just did in the rightmost position like this. So I can tell you, I could see doing some really creative inlays with this foot like this. So let's check. Oh, how cool is this? Check it out. Now I have a strip that's gathered on each side that I could actually then sew into a quilt block, a table runner, a garment. Isn't this awesome? This is so exciting. Wow. So I probably didn't cut enough strips because after we get done here tonight, I'm probably going to stay up and play a lot with this foot because I think that'd make an awesome texture in a quilt block. I really do. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move my needle now all the way over to the right. Is it there? Left, middle, middle. Okay, I'm going to go back into the quilting menu because I know it has it there. So I'm going to go to stitch Q02. It says piecing stitch right. There wasn't a rightmost pre-programmed setting in the utility menu. So here's the quilting menu. Oops. And we're going to put our length up to 5 and our tension, we're going to put all the way up to 9 again. 9 is the highest it will go. 5 on the length is the highest it will go. We're just going to do it there. Just take your time. We're just going to line up the edge of our fabric with this opposite edge of the foot here. And the next one we're going to do, we're going to try to make it not gather as much because that is really, really, really tight. This make, I would actually consider this a smocking stitch. It is so cool. And I'm just doing it with a straight stitch is all it is. Okay. Yeah, check that bad puppy out right there. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, it's got like the pleats in it, the gathers. I mean, it's got like a 1/2 of an inch on the thickness there. I mean, look at that. Okay. Exciting. Next, we are going to do this. So, I already tried with the tension as far as to reduce the amount of gathering, and it really didn't do that. And next, we are going to put it into the leftmost position, and I'm going to put the stitch length this time at 3 and the tension at 9. And let's just see how much of a difference this makes. It is still doing, even at 3, I'm getting that extreme. But let's just see. It's the only way to test it. So what that did, that made it 7 inches. So with my stitch length set at 5 tension to 9, it came out 6. This loosened it up a little bit. It's now 7. Okay? So we're going to do one more, and I'm going to put that stitch length down to, let's say, a number 2. I'm going to drop that stitch length down to 2, tension 9, and we're going to try another one. This time I'm going to go about halfway, and I'm going to start dropping the tension on it to see if we can get any other effect that way. Okay, so that was still super tight. So I'm now going to drop down to a tension of 6. And that did make a difference, for sure. I mean, there it just didn't even hardly do it at all. Okay. So as you can see, that made a pretty huge difference right there. This was a tension of 9. This was a tension of 6. Okay, so it does make a huge difference. So what you want to do if you're going to get this foot, and you can see the difference in the ruffles there, and here, bigger ruffles. Look how that's poofed up. Okay, so if when you get this foot and you play with it, you want to play with stitch length and stitch tension. When you get this foot, you'll get an info sheet, oops, just like this, that'll tell you, right here it'll tell you how to set your machine up. Okay? Next though, we're going to try something else. I'm going to put that tension, I'm going to leave the tension where it was. I'm going to put the length though back up. I'm going to put it up to 4 this time. And we're going to join 2 pieces of fabric while we do this. Whatever fabric you put on the very bottom will gather right here. Hold on, you can see it really good this way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to gather the 3-inch strip to this 5-inch strip of fabric. Okay, so I'm going to put my gather face up, right side up, right there. And then I'm going to put my other, I want the right sides together. Okay, so it will go right through this little slot right here. See how it's going through that? Move the camera. See, it just went through that slot in that foot. Okay. I'm just going to line them up. I have a stitch length of 4 and a tension of 6. I'm going to put my tension up to 7. Yeah. Okay, here we go. What you want to do is keep your fabric all the way, your top layer all the way over against the edge of that slot. Which sometimes is easier said than done. Okay, so in a perfect world, which, like, who lives in that, right? So there's what it looks like on the top. You can see that top piece of fabric did not gather. There's the bottom. Boy, howdy, it gathered. When we open it up, check it out. It looks pretty darn good. Okay. So you can gather, or if you want to call it ruffling, I usually call it ruffling, but you can ruffle your ruffling fabric and sew it on to your main fabric in one step. Pretty cool.